What's going on, friends? It's Anton Daniels, and I gotta have a conversation with you guys about Tiege Hanley because you see how the sun is hitting me. This is no finesse, no makeup, no filters, no none of that. This is 100% Tiege Hanley. I use it in the morning as soon as I get up, right after I pray and brush my teeth, jump in the shower, and I'm hitting the streets because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So even though they're giving you 40% off your first order, 20% off for life, even though you may get a free gift, forget all that, right? Because we would do this even if it was full price because it's worth that much. I'm in the streets, I'm kicking it with people when I see Dusties everywhere. You don't want to be them. You want to separate yourself. And the way that you separate yourself is self-care. Ladies get it for the fellas. Fellas don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. I'm about to hit the streets right now and I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling great. I mean, I already got confidence, but to have that extra boost of confidence, knowing that you've taken care of yourself and you set yourself apart from all of the rest of the sheep that's walking around making bad decisions on a daily basis. And it's reflected in their actions. It's reflected in the products that they use. It's reflected in the people that they follow. And so if you're trying to level up, if you're trying to make sure that you look good, they're going to send you the pack. They're going to give you all of the instructions on how you're supposed to use it. Then make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. Again, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Get your free gift. Make sure you tap in with your boy Anton Daniels because Unc is never going to lead you wrong. I would never have you use a product that I don't use myself. Again, they've been rocking with me for a long time. Make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. What up? 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 Give yourselves a round of applause for being here today. What's up to my friends and family in the chat? I love y'all. I appreciate. You know what? Let me get some money green in here. Where the money green at? Yeah, we want to go all the way money green. Money green in here. Let's get some money green in the building. What up to my friends and family? Yes, I am back from being in the MIAO. Shout out to all of my Miamians out here in the street. Rita like to say that that's her first home and that actually Detroit, Michigan is her second home. I tend to say that Detroit is always going to be home base, ladies and gentlemen. And we back in the studio. Rondell Clark says, you a disgrace to your own culture. You are for the rich. 2, buy some buildings for the youth in the city of Detroit. You don't love nobody but yourself. Nope. I'm going to let you keep sitting on that picnic table that you sitting in front of right there. And probably in front of the dumpster that you go dumpster diving in front of. Shout out to the people that wear black socks and sandals at the same time. I can't really tell exactly what his profile picture is, but everything in that profile picture is dusty. And you're absolutely right. I am for the rich. I am for enriching my people. And my people, let's be clear, it's not black people or black culture per se. It is anybody that wants to continue to advance and become the best version of themselves. And you should too, Rondell Clark Bay. You subscribed. You had to subscribe to even put that chat inside of the chat. You know what I'm saying? So we got an early dust mite. Yeah. We got an early dust mite in the building. Listen, he been waiting all weekend for that. Rondell has been waiting all weekend to get that off of his chest. I haven't done an article. I haven't done a review video. I haven't brought y'all up to date. I ain't talked about the Super Bowl. I planned on doing quick hits today. The whole 9 yards. And Rondell said that he wanted to wait. He been waiting since Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, Saturday night, Sunday. He could have done a lot of productive things. He could have enriched himself and actually improved his net worth over the weekend. And you know what Rondell decided to do? He decided to put on his black Air Force Ones, come in, type hard in the chat, and say that I am for the rich and somehow I need to buy a building for the youth in Detroit. Hey, listen. We've been hearing that same narrative probably for the last 40 years. 40 years. First and foremost, I don't have to substantiate anything that I do for anybody. Okay? There's plenty of people inside of the chat today, Bag Chasers United, who could probably tell you that Anton has paid for funerals and birthdays, and I've funded businesses. In the Bag Chasers alone, we've spent over $75,000 funding people's businesses, Shark Tank style. Plenty of people in the city could tell you that I fund so many different initiatives, including girls' homes in Detroit. Yes, yes. Some of you may not be familiar because I don't talk about it here, because I don't feel the need to have to talk about every single thing that I do behind the scenes. But I would have you to know that I've absolutely funded a girls' home inside of Detroit, 100%. No other funding, no federal funding, no government funding, no nonprofits, no nothing. I've funded for all of the women, for all of the ladies that say that Anton from AntonDaniels.com. No. It was worth the response because I think that it's conducive to, and entertain conversations for people that don't agree with me. He didn't call my family out. He didn't say my daughter was dumb. He didn't go at my wife. So let him rock. He didn't curse. He didn't do anything like that. I think it's fair for people to say what they want to say. I don't believe in censorship. I just believe in being respectful. But I would have you to know, since we're on that conversation, that I've actually funded a girls' home in the city. And a lot of people may not even be familiar with that. Should I vlog it and bring all of the girls on there too in order to make y'all feel better about some of the things that we do inside of the community? I'm in my community not because I have to be here. I can go and live anywhere in the world, especially inside of the United States of America. I am here because I want to be here. Anyways, neither here nor there. I like to enrich people, and I am for the rich. I am for prosperity. I don't believe in dustiness. I don't believe in dustiness. I don't want nobody dusty around me. And I would prefer to actually give people the information and help them think differently, that do it for themselves, and that also pull themselves out of poverty like I have, since I had the opportunity to be able to do it for myself. I did have some advantages. I had a strong father, a two-parent household. I was raised in a church. I didn't have a lot of money, but I had a lot of love and a lot of support. And I had a father that gave me everything that I needed in order to be the man that I am today. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. And we good. We good. All right. So good energy going into my day. Oh, let me bring y'all up to speed on what's going on. I'm going to read a couple of super chats. And I'm also going to make sure that I acknowledge the Cash Apps, because I do not ask you guys to do it, but you guys 100% always support me. Before I read the Cash Apps and the Super Chats, I will be doing today's show in the studio, tomorrow's show in the studio, and then I have to take a flight out to Washington because I'm going to be at the White House. Yes, your boy has breached the White House. Who would have known that a young Detroit dude... Hold on, give me a second. Sometimes you have to laugh. And the reason that I'm laughing is because it's no way that I'm supposed to be here. I remember every single person that has ever told me that I wouldn't be where I am today. I remember the haters. I remember certain family members. I remember everybody. You know what I'm saying? I remember people that said that I was going to be dead or in jail. I remember certain teachers that said I wouldn't be anything. I remember 2 or 3 years ago when there was a whole entourage of the black community that was coming at me because I didn't want to run in the Victim Olympics and substantiate black culture and back up off of my position that we need to rock with people based off of the content of their character instead of the color of their skin. None of them are popping today. None of them are relevant today. We don't even have to mention them. But again, let's get back to business. Let's just get back to business. Yes, so I will be doing a Monday and Tuesday show here in the studio in Detroit. The rest of the week, I will be broadcasting live from Washington, D.C. I will be at the White House several days this week, so give me a little bit of grace. Bag Chasers, Patreon members, we will be live streaming Block Club this weekend, and I have an exclusive video. So if you guys are not a part of the Patreon, link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. You should join the Bag Chasers, and don't be like Rondell. Don't be wearing black Air Force Ones with angry chips on your shoulder, carrying that, harboring that anger throughout the entire weekend. Make sure that you guys get your money, get the information, and let's level up. All right. Yeah, I will be at the White House this week, so I gotta go and shoot some moves. Do you know what my goal is? Honestly, you know what my goal is? And then we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. I'm going to read the Super Chats, Cash Apps, and we're going to get started with the show. You know what my goal is at this point? Pushing my people. Pushing my bag chasers. Pushing the content creators that's with me. Making sure that they get money anywhere that I go. If I wind up getting 30 million, I guarantee you, Slimmy, Molly, Mika, Q, Carrie, or Quentin, ain't none of them gonna be working on no regular job no more. When I get my 30 million, because it's coming. When I get my 30 million, none of my chasers, my Molly, my Quentin, my Slimmy, yes, those are my people. I'm taking all my people with me. Carrie, we all running it up. My goal is to get my people rich. I'm cool. I'm straight. I'll never have to worry about another dime in my life. At this point, is running it up. None of my people, all of my people, everybody that's been loyal to me and been rocking with me and been pushing, none of them is going to be working a regular job. None of them is going, and I'm not saying that they need it, because they don't. They all doing well. But I'm going to make sure that all of my people get a bag. All of my people is getting in the bag. Anyway, that's my goal. That is my goal in 2025, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I want everything for me and my people. We all going to eat. All right, y'all. Again, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Also, Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Shout out to my ladies. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Let me acknowledge the early Cash Appers. First of all, I want to shout out to Tony Alvin Barnes. Shout out to y'all. I love y'all. Lydia. What up, Lydia? I love you, Lydia. Figueroa. Lydia in the building. ESDC. Mike that dude. And A. Wyatt says, fly, Eagles, fly. I lost that bet. I did lose that bet. I bet on Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. I didn't get a chance to actually watch the game or the Super Bowl halftime show. I was on a plane on my way back to here yesterday, and so I was just updating the scores on ESPN. I was working on my computer. It was a sad sight to see. Congratulations to Philly. Congratulations to all of the Eagles fans. And congratulations to everybody that bet on the game and won. I took an L that day. I took a big L. But we here. Let me read some of the super chats and we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. We got a good show for y'all today. Latrell M. Shout out to Latrell M. I appreciate you. Thank you for holding me down, my friend. Kay Cooper says Rita didn't want to come home. Nah, she was acting extra. Rose says Super Bowl halftime show was garbage. I'm hearing a lot of that. I want to discuss that tomorrow on After Hours. Maybe we'll discuss it tonight. I don't know what Q got planned. Jerry says y'all got AD started early as F this morning. I ain't even tripping. I'm being really nice. I ain't went off. I ain't started dogging nobody. I ain't did none of that. I've been chilling, Jerry. Y'all got to give me some grace. Shout out to my dog, Classy Beats. Bag chasers don't miss. What up, though? Purpose is everything. Says, good morning. Anton, please do a small take on Lindy Lee's interview with Sean Ryan and Benny Johnson for the Democrat riders. It's so epic. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll do that one tomorrow because I don't have that plan for the show today. So I'll do that tomorrow and then we'll rock out. Send it to me in my email, antondaniels413@gmail.com. Andrew, what up, Andrew? I appreciate you. Showcase Classics in the building. Says, top of the morning, Anton. Dust Mite is hilarious and catchy. You are a stand-up man. I've met you in real life. Please say so. Congratulations on making it to the White House. There's a lot of people that don't show up in real life. And when you meet them, they scary, they weak, they don't have that same energy. I am the same person, if not more, in real life. Shout out to everybody that I met in Miami, everybody I met at the airport. I'm the same person in real life as I am online. That's a fact, though. Eric Wealth Harris says, another great day to be an American. I agree. Trump 2025. Bishop Cam Nelson says, Brother Anton is blessed. Shout out to you and the ministries over there in Akron, Ohio. I appreciate you, Bishop. Magnetar 17 says, you're going to the White House? You better not snitch on me. I got to tell on you, Magnetar. I got to tell on you, Magnetar. Andrea says, Anton, I'm a bag chaser. Do you inbox people? I answer inbox messages. Send me a message on Patreon. I'll answer your message. Molly says, you deserve it. Aw, you see my baby girls? My baby. There goes my baby. Shout out to Molly in the building. Me University says, hey, you and your mama gave us everything. I clipped it up. I made it available for y'all. Tiffany Roberts says, yay, Anton, I'm so proud of you for making it to the White House. Keep representing us. The 7. Is that 7? The 7%. Shout out to Tiffany Roberts. I appreciate you. All right, y'all ready to get started with the show? We can't get started without a prayer. Lord, we ask that you be before us today. Make sure that you continue to add value into our lives. Give us everything that we need. And bless us to be on our best behavior when we go places that we not used to going. Yeah. That's the prayer for the day. Bless us to act like we've been somewhere. It's a lot of people. I see a lot of people. Maybe this is inspired, Lord, from what happened in Miami. I see a lot of people, and clearly you can tell the people from out of town and the ones that's not supposed to be there and the ones that's used to something. And it's nothing wrong with being a tourist in your own city. It's nothing wrong with being excited, but bless us to be able to represent ourselves with a level of decorum and make sure that we do things the way that we're supposed to and be a good representation of what because stereotypes is real, God. You said that we are what we present ourselves to be. We have to dress for the job that we want, not for the thing that we leave in. We got to act like we've been somewhere and change the stereotype because we are not what other people present us to be. We're going to change it for everybody else that come after us. Bless us to make the sacrifice and then also to benefit from that sacrifice, but not to be the intention. Bless us not to do it for money, but for money to absolutely come to us. Money cometh to us. In Jesus' name, amen. No Lames TV says, baby mama left because I voted for Trump. My Eagles won, though. Hey, you winning, big dog. Patricia Brown says, have you heard about Pennsylvania governor was involved in an attempted unaliving of Trump back in July 2024, according to a whistleblower? I have not. Would you like to send that to me, Patricia, to my email? Somebody, one of the mods in the chat, put my email in the chat for Patricia to send that to me. Again, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Actually, you know what? Quick Hits. Quick Hits is a segment of the show that we don't think that we need to bring an entire segment to each and individual thing that we talk about. Well, we want to keep y'all in the loop on what's going on in these streets. First things first, federal workers are heading back into the office. Check it out.
Latest developments in the Trump administration's buyout offer to federal employees. A federal judge in Boston has temporarily blocked the government's mass buyouts of federal agencies, at least until tomorrow.
Yeah, we know there's a lot of whiplash going on here in the DMV, and that's when tomorrow we're going to hear what the judge has to say in arguments over the merits of the deferred resignation program, as it's known. It all comes as thousands of federal workers are expected to return to the office tomorrow. Our Amy Cho is live in Navy Yard with more on what to expect from a commuting standpoint and a lot of other angles. A lot going on, Amy.
Hey guys, good morning. Oh yes, we know about 16,000 Navy Yard employees are expected to return to work in person tomorrow morning. But here is the kicker. The military says they only have enough parking spots on base for about 1 in every 4 workers. And if you have ever tried to find parking here in Navy Yard, you already know how challenging it can be, especially on game days, having to circle and circle the block or seeing all the signs on the garages saying that they are already full. The military says they are going to be adding extra staff and vehicle lanes at the entrances so they can help process people more quickly through security. The military also asking workers to consider carpooling or taking public transportation. A lot of the neighbors we spoke with here in Navy Yard tell us they are expecting a big traffic jam tomorrow morning.
Probably good for businesses, but not so much for people who live here. If all the workers have to come back on Monday, there'll be more traffic.
There's already nowhere to park. You know, they charge you an arm and a leg for every single thing in D.C. Parking in a garage is $250.
And this past week, Metro says it had its highest Monday rush hour ridership since 2020. And Adam, you also brought us that very eye-opening report a few weeks ago that found D.C. commuters spend an average of 62 hours a year stuck in traffic. That number likely about to go up for a lot of people starting tomorrow morning.
The first day officially back in the office, I believe, started on Friday, but today is the first day that people are going to really start to get into the mix of things because it's Monday. It's the beginning of the week. Personally, I don't understand the complaining. I think that going into the office is actually pretty conducive for your life. Some people will complain about it. You'll look better. You'll feel better. You'll lose weight. You'll care about yourself. You'll brush your teeth. You'll shave your beard. You'll brush your hair. You'll get your weaves together. You'll do things. But more importantly, I don't even drive into the office most of the time. Most of the time, to believe it or not, I actually take public transportation. In the summertime, I ride my bike into the office and or depending on the weather, because it may be raining, I've learned really to embrace public transportation. I've been catching a bus since I was in high school. I had to catch the bus all the way from 7 Mile and Woodingham all the way down to downtown Detroit. And I've just been an advocate for public transportation ever since. We got great public transportation here. I'm sure y'all got phenomenal public transportation over there in D.C. Man up. Stop whining about it and get to it, all right? In addition to that, this is an interesting story. A man that was sucker punched, I believe, 12 years ago, finally died. And you guess what happened when he died? The person that sucker punched him is now facing charges. Check it out.
All right, well, more breaking news tonight. A man is facing serious charges for sucker punching another man on a bike. And that man died from the injuries 7 years later. News 12's Nadia Galindo is outside of the 81st precinct with the details. So, Nadia, what can you tell us? 7 years apart from the incident and then their death.
7 years, not 12.
Yeah, Noel, this is just a tragic story. That man that was sucker punched was left in a coma for years. He died last year from his injuries. And today, the man police say is responsible for all of this was walked out of this precinct in handcuffs. Now take a look at the video we shot for you just a short time ago. This is 34-year-old Gary Anderson, who police arrested today. He's charged with first and second degree manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide. Now back in June of 2017, police say the victim, 38-year-old Domingo Diego Tapia, was riding his bike on Fulton Street in Bed-Stuy when he was sucker punched, causing him to fall to the ground. He was left with severe head trauma that put him in a coma. You're taking a look at video right now of a vigil for Tapia back in 2017 where his wife and two young boys were praying for a recovery. Now, we know now that he died from his injuries last March. Anderson previously pled guilty in 2019 to assault for this case. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Now, the Brooklyn DA's office tells me that plea was made with the understanding that if Tapia died, more charges could be brought. Now,
that gotta be the biggest nightmare for every single person involved. Think about it. You could have served your time, got out of jail, got out of prison, came back to live your life. You could be a completely different person, but it doesn't absolve you from having to answer to the crimes because somebody died. Now you went from assault, 3 years in prison, probably got out for good behavior, and then now you facing manslaughter, and you're probably going to do another 20 to 25 years in prison. Probably should do the rest of your life. 7 years ago, his kids was kids. His kids is probably teenagers, big in a mug now, and they still having to live with the trauma of their father passing away. Wife, widowed. And here's the worst part about it. The dude the dude that got sucker punched, he probably suffered in this prison of his mind, not being able to move and in a coma for the last 7 years. That's got to be torturous. What if somebody is able to actually realize that they're in a coma and they got to stay in that prison of their mind and can't move for the next 7 years? Tragic story. Gotta pray for the family, man. And then last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, this is an interesting story. A woman is arrested after a TV reporter dies and found dead in a hotel room down in New Orleans, I believe. Check it out.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for watching. I'm Katie Moore. A Slidell woman has been arrested in connection with the case of a Kansas City reporter who died while in town to cover the Super Bowl. Kenner police say they have video of the suspect leaving the hotel room where the reporter died. Paul Murphy has the latest.
Y'all said 20 years for manslaughter, you might get 7 to 10. Well, that's not the only charge that he was charged with. He has multiple different charges. Either way, it's all tragic. Nothing good comes from it. Listen, I don't care if it's only 7 to 10 years. I don't want to do 7 to 10 hours. 7 to 10 years is a long, and when I say long time, y'all be talking about a decade like it's nothing. I don't know what y'all been around and what kind of people that made y'all seem like it's cool to be in jail and it's cool to be in prison or whatever. Family. I don't know what y'all talking about, but for me personally, 7 to 10 minutes, 7 to 10 hours is 7 to 10 too long. I'm not going, bro.
Just on this developing investigation.
Kenner police have arrested a Slidell woman they believe may have had something to do with the death of Kansas City Telemundo correspondent Adon Manzano. Manzano was in New Orleans to cover the Super Bowl. He was found dead in his hotel room at a Kenner Comfort Inn 2 days ago.
Upon the detectives processing the hotel room, Mr. Manzano's hotel room, they had discovered that a credit card was missing. It was the same credit card that was used to check into the hotel, as well as a cell phone.
According to Kenner Police Chief Keith Connolly, detectives checked the hotel's security cameras. It showed 48-year-old Danette Colbert leaving Manzano's room early Wednesday morning. Police found Colbert in New Orleans and arrested her Thursday night. They found Manzano's credit card and cell phone during a search of her home. Investigators say the card had been used at several stores in the city.
It's important to note that Ms. Colbert's criminal history does include 2 instances where she drugged a victim and stole his access device cards and things of that nature.
Court records indicate Colbert has been arrested in New Orleans at least 6 times over the past 12 years. The crimes include theft, bank fraud, and second-degree battery. She also has an arrest record in Jefferson Parish and Las Vegas, Nevada. Telemundo New Orleans news director Mike Berenguer said he was supposed to meet up with Manzano for an interview at the Morial Convention Center, but he never arrived.
He was a really good reporter. I think he have a good future in this job, and this is unfortunately is a thing that sometimes happen.
Colbert is now in Kenner custody. She's facing multiple charges, including bank fraud, computer fraud, and illegal transmission of monetary funds. Investigators say the charges could be upgraded pending the results of their investigation into Manzano's death. According to the Jefferson Parish Coroner's Office, toxicology and other tests are now underway to determine Manzano's cause of death and that there were no obvious signs of trauma. In Kenner, Paul Murphy.
All right, so here's the question. This is a question that I have for everybody that's in the chat, personally. When you look at this booger wolf, all right, when you look at this thing, and you're trying to figure out, okay, wait a minute. On the surface, they're trying to be sensitive to the fact that he passed away, and he was probably a phenomenal reporter, and he was probably in town to cover a lot of different things and do some interviews and all of that stuff. Cool. And, condolences out to him because nobody should be losing their life especially when they're not committing a crime. Cool. I'm with it. But you know us. You know what we do over here at the Millionaire Morning Show. We got to ask the questions. The uncomfortable question. What was a booger wolf doing inside of your hotel room, dog? I keep trying to tell y'all I can't say what happened because there's an investigation still happening. But what I will say to y'all is protect the D. What did we say early last year? I am more than my D. I am more than my D. My instincts, my intuition will tell me that a booger wolf ended up inside of your hotel room and then wind up taking you out and stealing your credit cards and your cell phone because she probably wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. I keep telling y'all tricking off on these chicks is wearing these wigs and they 50 going on 90 and y'all think that it's cool because you just had a moment of weakness and that moment of weakness could possibly cost you your life and it can end everything. And it ain't even about the fact that she a booger wolf. That's irrelevant. The fact that y'all left yourselves open to this type of activity, even though we know that it's not supposed to happen, but you got to be doing this preventative, proactive, I'm not getting myself in this type of situation, I'm here for business thing in the first place. No. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your quick hits. Let me read some of these super chats and cash apps because y'all is out here crazy. Shout out to Devon. Devon says, for congratulations on making it to the White House. I appreciate you, bro. Chris James. Jesus, Chris James. Chris James said to future business, been busy in and out. Chris James is running up. He out here throwing hundreds. You know what I'm saying? 100s plus. Maria says, DC deserves you. I agree, Maria, and thank you for looking out for me. Cartier Oliver says, you're very much appreciated, and shout out to the Back Chasers. If y'all not a part of the Patreon, link is in the description, as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order, plus 20% off for life. Jonathan Gonzalez says, what up, Anton? Have you heard about the 52 million USAID sent in New York for illegal housing behind Trump back? I didn't. Email me, AntonDaniels413@gmail.com. Tracy Turner says, congratulations, Anton. Dreams do come true. But this reality, baby. Bitcoin Brown says, did you see AD, a young person died from Philly celebrations last night from falling off a light pole after climbing? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That wig hit different. You know, I'm not really a fan of the wig life. High Tolerance says, good morning, AD and the Back Chasers. Super Bowl halftime was trash. Check it out. No live band, song selection. And SZA had a dead mic. Serena thought it was a flex to C-Walk, yet she lost her sister to gang culture. Compromise, throw it all away. I can't wait to see that. I think I'm going to wait, and then I'm going to actually go and I think I'm going to just review it during after hours with Molly and them. We'll see what happens. But What in the World TV says, box lure. Listen, that woman couldn't lure me with a pizza box. That woman couldn't lure me if she had $1 million in her hands and said, in order to get it, you got to come over here and get this box. No, thank you. No, thank you. I will pass up on $1 million. I don't want to take a chance for that box. That's just me personally. But I guess the guys that got boxolitis, it's a little bit different. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the show. First things first, Trump. Trump did an interview with Fox, Brett Bauer, the one that absolutely destroyed Kamala Harris last year. Trump did an interview, and he broke down his thoughts on Elon Musk, audits, fraud, more, and what's going on with the Department of Education. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. I'll be reading Super Chat shortly.
The United States, Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Happy Super Bowl.
Thank you.
You know, you are going to be the first sitting president to attend a Super Bowl. It's a big day for America, always is. What made you want to do it?
Well, first of all, I'm very surprised to hear that. I would have assumed many presidents came, but I think just the spirit of the country's taken on a whole new life. I thought it would be a good thing for the country to have the president be at the game.
I mean, it's an iconic day.
It's an iconic day. It's going to be a great game, two great teams, and let's see what happens.
You know, it seems the first days of this administration.
Let me also say that Taylor Swift got booed and President Trump got cheered, but that's neither here nor there.
Are like a no-huddle offense. You know, plays going down the field, one after another. There's a long list of things you've already got done in 3 weeks. Big border policy changes, ICE crackdowns on criminals, taking biological men out of women and girls sports, big energy policy changes. So what's different with you and your administration? The difference between the 45th president and the 47th president?
Well, with the 45th, I had tremendous opposition, but I didn't know people, and I didn't have the kind of support that I needed. I put people in office, some really great ones, but I had some that I wouldn't have put. I would have, known better if it were a couple of years later, or if I had a little more experience in D.C. I was a New York person, not a D.C. person. And I had a lot of opposition. I just noticed, I looked on the stage for the recent inauguration, and I'm looking, it's like a who's who of Washington. Well, if you look on the stage for the first one, it was just the opposite.
So some of your plays have raised some questions and had some pushbacks. 19 states' attorneys general filed a lawsuit, and early Saturday, a judge agreed with them to restrict Elon Musk and his government efficiency team, DOGE, from access.
Well, let's start there. Let's stop there. I want to go case by case and point by point that he made. First of all, we have to be appreciative of the fact that, because I've seen that J.D. Vance pulled up on the ops in order to have another interview, and they have all of their administration, all of their nominees, all of their secretaries of defense and state, and all of this stuff. They continue to make themselves available to the general public, which we should appreciate the level of transparency that this president is operating with. But let's take a moment to break down exactly what he said. He said, listen, in my first term, I was operating like a New Yorker trying to be in Washington, trying to move according to what Washington's rules were, bringing in people that were career politicians that turned out to be traitors, not having a level of loyalty and the amount of pushback that I had at that time. And so it made for a much more difficult way for me to govern the United States of America. He said, but I learned this time around, and we did it a little bit differently. We made sure that we had people that were loyal. He started to look at things more like a business. And instead of fully going full politician and full Washington insider, he decided to go full New Yorker and a businessman. And I think that that's exactly why you see him moving the way that he's moving. That's why you see so much get done within the first 3 weeks. Yet we're used to things moving at a snail's pace only until election year is up. Then you start to see certain things move with most presidents and most administrations. But in 3 weeks, we're moving with the speed of an Olympic sprinter. We got more executive orders. We got men out of women's sports. You have audits going on of the federal government, which I'm assuming that's what he's about to start talking about now. You have making sure you're getting these nominated people that are loyalists. You got immigrants getting out of here that's not supposed to be here. And of course, people are going to whine and complain, and we're not worried about that because that's usually what happens when you start to clean up the swamp. If you've ever cleaned up a home that you were renovating, right? Let's say, for example, you bought a home and it wasn't a new build, but it was something that needs to be renovated a lot of times or something like that. And you go in and you see what the previous people left behind. Or if you've ever actually moved into a retail space and you got to renovate it, or a restaurant, and you got to renovate it and you got to turn it into something different, the first thing you do is you need to tear the whole thing down and gut it. But in the midst of gutting it, you start to see the bugs. You see bugs in the lights. You got to get it exterminated. You got to make sure that you pull up the old carpet. You got to get all of the stains out of there. You got to do that type of thing in order to be able to build something that's better for the people. You got to modernize it. You got to make it much better. And so what I see right now is that you're seeing a bunch of politicians whining and complaining. Some, I believe it's because they were a part of the establishment that Trump is auditing and that Elon Musk is auditing. And they are going to complain because Everything is being unveiled. You got to strip it down to the studs. We got to strip it down to the studs. And when you strip it down to the studs, you see where they were hiding all of the money, where they was funneling everything out. It's all a facade. The United States of America, prior to Trump getting in office, was the equivalent of a business that was laundering money, combined with a massage parlor. Yeah. It was a business that was laundering money, combined with a Thai massage parlor. And the police had never raided it before. And then you go in and you see all of the people getting their nookie. Well, see, here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. This is the I'm sorry, my mind works a little bit differently. Here is the problem, y'all. With DOGE coming in and them going to audit the federal government within 18 months, I'm scared that they're going to uncover all of the fraud, but they won't be able to get any of that, all of the bad actors. That all of the bad actors have completely removed themselves. And when we found out that the federal government was sending $50 billion a year to mysterious people with no social security numbers every single year, yes, that's one of the things that Elon Musk has uncovered. I said, what? Because, see, for me, it's not enough to just find the bad actors. I also want to know or it's not enough to find out that we had a lot of fraud and taxpayer money going out the door so that we can then rein in our spending as a country. I genuinely want to know who the people was that was finessing. I want to know who got paid. I want to root out all of the corruption, because these are politicians, these are business people, these are people that are amongst us. I don't want to just get the ledgers and say, oh man, they've been stealing money, they've been sending money to this, we cutting this off, we cutting that off. I want to know who the people were. I want to know who's been finessing taxpayers for probably more than all of my life. I would love to know what's happening behind the scenes. I don't know. My mom got on me last week. She says, Anton, you dig too deep. You want to know too many things. You too smart for your own good. I'm not really sure I agree with that.
Treasury Department payment and data systems, they said there was a risk of irreparable harm. What do you make of that? And does that slow you down in what you want to do?
No, I disagree with it 100%. I think it's crazy. And we have to solve the efficiency problem. We have to solve the fraud, waste, abuse, all the things that have gone in the government. You take a look at the USAID, the kind of fraud in there,
and you found significant things.
Well, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of money that's going to places where it shouldn't be going, where if I read a list, you'd say this is ridiculous, and you've read the same lists, and there are many that you haven't even seen. It's crazy. It's a big scam. Now, there's some good money, and we can do that through any one of a number. I think I'd rather give it to Marco Rubio over at the State Department. Let him take care of the few good ones. So I don't know if it's kickbacks or what's going on, but the people, look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it. And I've had a great help with Elon Musk, who's been terrific.
Bottom line, you say you trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it. But I told him do that. Then I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then we're going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. But I campaigned on this, Brett.
You announced a tariff.
Pretty straightforward to me. No double speak, no triple talk, no politician word salad. Hey, listen. He don't got nothing to lose. He ain't got nothing to gain out of it. He don't get nothing out of it. He's so rich to where it really don't even matter. He just truly a patriot, and he wants what's best for the country. And really, he wants to expose all of the bad actors that's been operating behind the scenes. That's really what it is. It's like you don't get nothing out of it. Why wouldn't I trust him? Of course, I want him to go in with the same efficiency that he did in every other company. I want him to go in and find out where the bad actors and the abuse is. And so now What the Democrats will do is they'll frame it and say, oh my God, this is Project 2025. I never seen an audit inside of Project 2025. I read all of Project 2025, and then I ran it through AI to make sure that they perfectly summarized everything just in case I missed something. I'm trying to figure out, why wouldn't y'all want to know where the abuse and the fraud is? Why is that a big deal? Why is that a sticking point for Democrats and liberals? Unless you are one of the ones that were benefiting from it. I want to know where the money is going. Department of Defense, Department of Education. And Trump said it. He said, no, it's some actual good actors in there too. It's not 100% fraud. It's probably 98% fraud. But the ones that's the good actors, we can redo that, and we can make sure that we reallocate it to make sure it's still going to them. But it don't have to go through this whole department that got 10,000 people that we subsidizing with diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let's continue.
On Canada and Mexico, you immediately got action from both of them on border security and drug interdiction.
I did. A lot of action.
Is that good enough?
Is that good enough? No, it's not good enough.
So more needed in 30 days.
Something has to happen. It's not sustainable. And I'm changing it.
You know, the Prime Minister said this weekend to a group of Canadian businessmen, he was at a private meeting, he said that your wish for Canada to be the 51st state is a, quote, real thing. Is it a real thing?
Yeah, it is. I think Canada would be much better off being a 51st.
Oh, snaps. Yo, he don't. Listen. Me and Kerry talked about this during the election cycle. The one thing that you can't say, whether you agree with him or disagree with him, I'm still trying to understand the whole Gaza situation. I don't think that I agree with it. I don't think that we should be participating in redeveloping Gaza. Maybe it's another backroom plan that he got that I'm not familiar with, or maybe I'm just too stupid as a C student to be able to understand it. So I don't agree with everything that anybody says. However, the one thing that you cannot and should not ever have a problem with is the fact that he says exactly what's on his mind, and he ain't never changed, and I hope he never changes. I hope he never gets infected by the Washington bureaucrat, politician speak, word salad. Hey, I don't know. Don't ask me this question. He just said, yeah, I think Canada would be better served as a 51st state of the United States. Whether you agree with it or not, whether you agree with them or not, you have to respect the transparency. That's all we ask. All we've been asking from politicians for years, because we've assumed that with transparency, you would have to operate above board and be absolutely real about where our taxpayer dollars are going, how we should be impacted by it, how we need to be able to make adjustments, and are we doing the thing that's in the best interest of our people that's coming after us. I love the fact that I know exactly what I'm getting. You should love the fact that you know exactly what you're getting. You don't know what Biden did over these last 4 years. Y'all don't have a clue. They was in office for over 4 years. They destroyed everything, and we have no clue where all of our money went. You gotta respect that. You ain't gotta love it, but you gotta respect it.
Because we lose $200 billion a year with Canada, and I'm not going to let that happen. It's too much. Why are we paying $200 billion a year, essentially in subsidy to Canada? Now, if they're a 51st state, I don't mind doing it.
You said the tariff is a beautiful word. There are some signs in the markets, consumer confidence, that they're a little jittery.
What up, Juana?
So if all goes to plan, when do you think families will be able to feel prices going down, groceries, energy, or are you kind of saying to them, hang on, inflation may get worse until it gets better?
No, I think we're going to become a rich... Look, we're not that rich right now. We owe $36 trillion. That's because we let all these nations take advantage of us. Same thing, like $200 billion with Canada. We owe $300. We have a deficit with Mexico of $350 billion. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let that happen.
Sports has always been something that Americans rally around to come together. They really do. You won the popular vote. You won all the swing states. Have you thought about how to try to bring the country together, to reach out or to find common...
Wait, y'all don't want Canada? Some people in the chat said they don't want Canada. Y'all don't want Canada? What's over in Canada? Beer, big women. They got some thickums over there in Canada. They got some thickums over there in Canada. They like hockey. There's some lumberjacks over there. I think they got some pretty good minerals and resources that we can mine out. We got to get rid of their healthcare system, and they overly taxing their citizens. I think that's an atrocity. But I don't really see nobody. They got Drake. We like Drake. I like Drake. I think that Drake is cool. They got The Weeknd. Y'all like Canada? They got Canada Dry, syrup, maple syrup. So if y'all had to pick between the two, you want Canada or you want Mexico? Which one you want? I got to put that in the chat. Let me put that in the poll.
Have you thought about that or how that might go?
I'd love to do it, but I would say this. We have to come together, but to come together, there's only one thing that's going to do it, and that's massive success. Success will bring the country together, but it's hard. And I say it's hard. I just signed a bill allowing for women not to have to be punished by men in sports. In other words, men are not going to be allowed to play in sports against women. It's ridiculous.
You're a sports guy. You're a football fan. Size up these two teams.
I'm a big fan of both teams. They're sort of different. In Philadelphia, you have one of the greatest running backs, Saquon. You know, Saquon had an uncle who was a great fighter. And Iran Barkley, his name was. So you have a great running back. You really have a great quarterback. The other team, the quarterback really knows how to win. He is a great, great quarterback.
So game prediction?
I hate to do it. I just say that I've watched this great quarterback who has, by the way, a phenomenal wife, okay? She's a Trump fan. She's a MAGA fan, so I happen to love her, okay? But she's a great person. I watched her being interviewed. I said, boy, that's pretty good. But she's great, and he's great. I guess you have to say that when a quarterback wins as much as he's won, I have to go with Kansas City. At the same time, Philadelphia has a fantastic game. It's going to be just a great game.
Finally, listen,
I love this president because sports was meant to bring us together instead of divide us, and he's not going to let that divide us. It's dope.
Most recognized person in the world, likely the most imitated person
I'm gonna read
in the world.
poll.
Every comedian has a Donald Trump imitation, everyone. But now you have UFC fighters winning fights, NFL players doing the Trump dance.
Yeah.
Did you ever think that was going to be a thing?
No, I didn't. I mean, we do these rallies. They've always been great, but they got really great. And it's just, I don't know what it is. I try and walk off sometimes without dancing, and I can't. I have to dance because it's just got something special about it.
Mr. President, thanks for the time.
Thank you very much.
Phenomenal interview. Shout out to our president, my president. Trump in the building. Let me check this poll and see what y'all saying. I've only had the poll up for a couple minutes, just for a couple minutes. Not a whole long time, but just a couple minutes. Y'all said, ooh, 57% said, 56% said, give me Canada. 44% said, give me Mexico. All right. 57% now said, give me Canada. 43% said, give me tacos from Mexico. All right. Shout out to everybody that voted. I appreciate y'all. Results for the poll is in the chat. I guess y'all want, y'all said y'all want all of them problems down there south of the border. All right, I don't blame you. Canada's pretty liberal. Tacos, I don't know. Anyways, make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel with turn on notifications. Let me read some of these super chats, and then we're going to go over to the next part of the show. April L says, let me find out about Vance Daniels' 2028 ticket. No. I don't know if I'm ready to run for no president of the United States of America. Maybe one day I'll run for governor. I don't know about mayor. Mayor is too in the weeds. You know what I'm saying? Governor, Vaughn LA23 says, good morning, AD. Today is my youngest daughter's birthday. Little bunny, AD, Adelind, turned 2 years old today, finishing up her birthday decor. I have my earbuds in listening. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, 2-year-old. Vaughn's baby got her earbuds listening to the Millionaire Morning Show. Happy birthday to you. Yay! Shout out to you. I love my chasers. Andrea says, I messaged you on Patreon. Please handle safety. Please handle safety. Hate safely? I'm guessing that's what you meant. I'll check it out today, baby. Marquita, what up, Keita? What up, Keita? A month ago, I mentioned you becoming president one day. People laughed, and now look how your life is aligning. Uh-oh, if Trump can do it, Tom Dog can do it. I got to clear my background a little bit. I got to delete some live streams. We got a few years, so let's work on that. Why can a federal judge block so much? I don't know. Kenya from Cali says, shout out to you for the super sticker. I appreciate you, Kenya. The Trini Life says, bless up, King. Hope all is well. Everything is phenomenal. Let's grab Canada. All right, we want all of y'all. We want everything. Minerals, resources, and women. Y'all can keep y'all lumberjacks. Mark the Guardian says, Biden allowed Gaza refugees to receive Social Security payments. Jay Hunter Lee says, and grab Mexico 2. Playtime is over. Y'all said we need to be playing, what's the name of that game? Not War, it was called, it's called something else. Nichelle says, I hope we can install DOGE at the state level. Iowa's governor has had tremendous success in using similar tactics to strengthen her state. Maryland is down bad with $3 billion deficit. We're going to get to Wes Moore today. It's funny you say that. We're going to talk about Wes Moore. Victory Podcast says, Saquon is my cousin and it's his birthday yesterday. Shout out to Saquon Barkley and putting in that work. J-Ben says, tacos over poutine. No one Canada that's adding 2 liberal senators. Yeah, we gonna see. Hey, they got to be able to say they want to be a part of it. I know it's plenty of Canadians that want to be a part of America. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's talk about Guantanamo Bay. But before we talk about Guantanamo Bay, actually, let me back up for a minute. Let's go here. Let's talk about migrants. Where migrants are being raided and deported the most. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's talk about it.
Mexican National Guard and Army trucks are now at the border separating Mexico and El Paso, Texas. They're among the first of 10,000 troops that Mexico will send to its northern border after tariff threats from President Donald Trump. Patrols have also been seen near Tijuana, Mexico, near San Diego. This comes as ICE cracks down on undocumented immigrants already living in the United States. Yesterday, ICE conducted a multi-location enforcement operation in the Denver area. Now, this includes the apartment complex deemed to be a criminal nuisance after a series of incidents relating to gang activity.
Unfortunately, we have to come to the communities because we don't get the cooperation that we need from the jails. It would be so much easier and so much safer for our officers and agents if we could take these people into custody from a safe environment. But if we have to come out in the community to do this, that's what we're going to do.
Isn't it unfortunate that our police, ICE, all of these people that are working to keep our communities safe have to deal with these legislators and these governors and these mayors and these city council people and aldermen and protesters and people that's basically protecting criminals? Why wouldn't they let y'all go into the jail and get the criminals? What is the point of y'all saying that, hey, we already arrested them? They not asking for your assistance to find people that's not in the jails. If you arrest them for something that they're not supposed to be doing, then they commit an egregious crime. Just tell us so we can pick them up so that we don't have to hunt them down and then put our officers in danger. At some point, you have to start holding these people accountable for harboring fugitives and not helping you to actually keep our American streets safe.
environment. But if we have to come out in the community to do this, that's what we're going to do.
Thank you for this cash.
Meanwhile, the Department of Defense just shared this video of first flight of undocumented immigrants arriving at Guantanamo Bay. The DOD says the people on the flight were, quote, high-threat criminals who brought violence and mayhem to communities. CBS News immigration correspondent Camilo Montoya Galvez is following all of this for us, talking about deportation and immigration. So, Camilo, first off, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time. What do we know about these migrant holding operations happening at Guantanamo Bay?
Wait. So I want to say something real quick before we get to Guantanamo Bay, because we're going to move over into the person that actually is leading this effort shortly in the next segment. Is this racist? In your opinion, is this racist? Is it racist to have Camilo, the one that's on the ground reporting about migrants and deportation? Because the only assignments that I see Camilo get, is it okay if Camilo come into CBS and say, you know what, guys? I feel like I'm being disenfranchised. I feel like it's being set up against me. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. You guys keep sending me out here to talk about migrants because they would mistake me for a migrant in a suit. And I want to be at the news desk right next to you, my chocolate queen. Is it fair? Is it fair? No, because I see everybody in the chat saying no. But then we'll go over to CNN and see Ashley Allison saying, I deserve to be at the head of the table because I have all of these degrees and I shouldn't be only talking about black issues. Should we have regular people? Should black people be the ones that's out there reporting on it? Should white people be out there reporting on it? Why is Camilo always on the migrant situation? You are correct, Carlisle, because he probably speaks multiple different languages, which makes him more of an asset for CBS to be able to send out there on these assignments and do the things that he's doing as far as communicating more effectively, because he can relate to it. It's almost like when Fox News would bring me up to get my perspective when Barack and Michelle would go into the barbershop and tell people, you guys need to, hey, you guys need to make sure that you vote based off of this and diversity, equity, and inclusion and identity politics and all of this stuff, right? So then they bring me in and they say, Anton, what's the pulse that's happening in your neck of the woods, and does he represent what it is that you think that you should be espousing? I say, absolutely not. Why would we be listening to Michelle Obama on what's supposed to happen in the community? They've been so far removed, we don't even know who they are. They just jumped on their private jet, did not start talking, right? You know why? Because why would you bring a white woman to come in and speak on black issues? A white woman is not inside of a black barbershop, right? Never been inside of a black barbershop. And it's the same thing when it comes to Camilo. Camilo needs to be out here in the streets, in the field, finding out what's going on in the streets. Camilo, do your job.
Well, U.S. officials tell CBS News that a military plane is currently in the air en route to Cuba to transport nearly a dozen migrant detainees to Guantanamo Bay so they can be held there as part of this operation that was green-lighted by President Trump to really create a massive detention center there for those who are arrested by immigration authorities in the interior of the U.S., on the U.S. mainland. And this is the second of these types of flights that have occurred this week, sending again a dozen detainees. We are told that these immigrants are from Venezuela and that they have alleged and suspected ties to the notorious. And
Shine said, if you're a good reporter, you get the job. Don't matter the color. No one should be in place because of the color of their skin. And you are absolutely wrong. See, this is where context matters. This is where context matters, okay? Let's say you're a phenomenal reporter but you have an inability to penetrate, from a journalistic perspective, certain cultures because they automatically look at you as an op when you walk in. Because again, being a great journalist is not just documenting or reporting on something. It's also deep diving into issues and finding out information that other people may not have been familiar with or giving a take on it, right? And so on one hand, being the best reporter is very much tied to your identity, but that's the context behind not wanting diversity, equity, and inclusion. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is to equalize it across the board just because of the color of your skin. But it does not take into account that the color of your skin can help you penetrate some other cultures or bring a difference of perspective into certain environments that would allow for you to be able to be a better reporter. If a woman is much more conducive for my restaurant to sit at there with her perched up titties in order to attract men in there that want to come in there and go to the bar, then guess what? I'm going to put a woman up there. I'm not going to put a man up there just to try to equalize it out. And everybody don't have the ability to do the same things as everybody else. We don't have to equalize it and say your identity is going to play a role and we need to cut off this amount of people that are already doing a job just so we can have this many other people to do it. It's not the same thing. They may not be willing to talk to you, right? I don't need women inside of the plant that can't lift up over 120 pounds when that's what the job requires, just for the sake of saying that we got more women inside of there, right? But at the same time, identity matters in that situation because the best person for the job just so happened to be almost all men. Does that make sense to you, right? If I'm going to investigate or I need somebody to take me across the border in order to penetrate and find out more about what's going on with the cartels over in Mexico, chances are I'm going to hire somebody from Mexico or a Mexican that can speak the language and also can better identify so that we don't stick out like a sore thumb because I'm already a black man going over to Mexico trying to penetrate the cartel. You can say, well, that person is a phenomenal reporter too. Yeah, but I need a Mexican right now. I need a Mexican. I don't want somebody over here just because you felt like they're the best reporter for the job in this particular instance, because the best reporter for the job is the one that's going to help me blend in. And so that's why we have to start going into the context. Some people will use that in order to justify, oh my God, this is why we need diversity, equity, and inclusion. No, the context is we need the best person for the job, but also the job may require you to go with somebody from an identification purpose to get the job done. The diversity, equity, and inclusion part is when you then bring in somebody else that may not blend in, but because you want to equalize it, then that's when you start to say, oh man, we need diversity, equity, and inclusion in there. No. This job is a job that I need a Mexican for and a translator so that I can penetrate the cartel to better investigate what's going on. That's where the context matters. Liberals will then use that to justify diversity, equity, and inclusion, but that's where you have to start adding in the context, all right? We need Camilo out in the field finding out what's going on, and you better speak Spanish.
Infamous Venezuelan prison gang, Tren de Aragua, which of course has become a focal point of the president's crackdown on illegal immigration. Very soon after he took office, he actually moved forward to designate this gang as a foreign terrorist organization. So it is something that he has highlighted on the campaign trail and now at the White House. In terms of the conditions at the naval base, this facility has been housing asylum seekers intercepted at sea, such as Haitians and Cubans, for decades under Republican and Democratic administrations. But now it is housing detainees arrested on the U.S. mainland, including Venezuelans who right now cannot be deported to their home country. We are told that officials here and in Guantanamo Bay are working to expand capacity there, including by setting up 10 facilities inside the naval base to house as many as 30,000 migrant detainees.
And Camilo, we are hearing some reports that ICE is releasing some migrants due to 100%. Capacity issues. So what do we know exactly about those people who are getting released?
That's right. According to internal Department of Homeland Security data obtained by CBS News, as of earlier this week, Immigration and Customs Enforcement detention facilities were at 109% capacity. The agency was housing about 42,000 immigrant detainees who were arrested by the agency, despite on paper only having enough space for about 38,000 detainees. And so right now, detention facilities across the country have surpassed that capacity, and the agency is scrambling to try to expand detention capacity as quickly as possible. How is it planning on doing that? Well, ICE right now, we understand, is considering a plan that would allow Customs and Border Protection holding facilities along the U.S.-Mexico border to be used to house detainees that the agency is arresting in the interior of the country, including during these operations in cities like Denver, Chicago, and New York City, and other large urban metropolitan areas across the country. It is also turning to the Department of Defense, which, as we just discussed, has already granted the agency access to Guantanamo Bay, but also a military installation in the Denver area. And we are told that more military installations could be repurposed as immigration detention centers.
Okay. All right, so let's pivot for a second, all right? Before I read the Cash Apps and the Super Chats, let's pivot for 1 minute and let's go over into plans at Guantanamo Bay because Kristi pulled up, I believe, on MSNBC. But let me first give you a little bit of insight into who she is, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, of who she is, what she's doing right now. And then we're going to move over into her interview on MSNBC, and then I'm going to come back and read the Super Chats and the Cash Apps, all right? Let's break it down.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem visiting Guantanamo Bay as the Trump administration searches for ways to hold the undocumented immigrants it's arresting. This week, ICE detention facilities at 109% capacity.
We're looking for as many beds as we can get.
Still, NBC News has learned President Trump has expressed anger that the number of arrests is not higher, according to 3 people familiar with the discussions at ICE and the White House. One source adding it's driving him nuts. They're not.
When somebody wants something to get done, when they've been tasked with taking care of business, they put competent people in place to figure it out as they go, right? The shareholders, for example, don't care anything about what your excuses are as to why the company is not as profitable as they want it to be. The company can be profitable, may not be as profitable as they want it to be, and they're tasking you with driving up the share price, and whatever it is that you need to do to get there. And so then the CEO goes in and say, hey, listen, whatever it is that you need, I'm going to give you the funding, I'm going to give you the resources, I'm going to give you the support. I want people that are not supposed to be here, and the ones especially that are doing things egregious and committing crimes against the American people, they need to be out of here ASAP. All right? They figured out how to get hotel rooms, more beds, more everything, more flights, and all of this stuff. When they was bringing them here, we need to have that same level of fervency when it comes to getting them up out of here. Let's go.
Deporting more people. It all comes as the new Attorney General ramps up pressure on sanctuary cities, suing Democrat-led Chicago and the state of Illinois, arguing they interfere with arresting and deporting undocumented immigrants.
They are choosing illegal aliens over the safety and security of their own citizens.
The lawsuits are against laws on the books in Illinois. I mean, unlike Donald Trump, we follow the law in Illinois.
Meanwhile, in South Texas, we get
except when you actually, allowing for people to come over here illegally and take up space and use taxpayer dollars doing it. That part of the law don't count, only the part that you think makes sense. I got you.
Another first-hand look at the front lines.
I've noticed most recently not as much activity.
What was once a record influx of migrants, now a trickle. We didn't spot one in 5 hours with Border Patrol.
It used to be that the vast majority of migrants here would turn themselves in. Now, most of them are single adults trying to escape.
In 2021, this area saw more than 1,500 illegal border crossings a day.
People were walking in here with no shame. They wanted to get caught by Border Patrol. The goal was to get caught by, hey, me, me, Chicago. Me go to Chicago. I'm sorry, sir. You're crossing over here illegally. Why don't you go back to Mexico where you just came in from? No. Catch and release and bus ticket to Chicago. Or New York. Or San Diego. Yeah, well, I'm part of the team. Tender Agua. Want to go to Denver. Now, my friend got arrested in Denver. I'll go back to Chicago. They give free bedrooms. But if I want luxury, I can go to Times Square and stay at the Roosevelt. Roosevelt. They give free food. Food stamp, EBT. PIN number, Roosevelt, not full. Free room, food, shelter, schooling, medical care. Got to get the foot taken care of. Yeah. Now, why am I frozen? Why am I frozen? Let's see if I can get unfroze out here in these streets. Now, okay, well, we're going to be unfroze that way. Now, it's a little bit different, right? It's a little bit different. Y'all hear me. It may be froze on the physical, but you can still hear me, right? And now, it's slightly different. Let's continue.
Now, less than 100.
Have you ever seen it this quiet?
Not that I can remember.
Nearby, the state of Texas is offering the federal government 1,400 acres of land for a massive detention facility. David Porras is a first-time Trump voter here in Starr County, which voted Republican in the presidential election for the first time since 1892.
You're here illegal, you break the law, you should be deported.
And we're now learning the Trump administration is using federal prisons to house undocumented immigrants. Peter and Laura.
Gabe Gutierrez.
So let's pivot for a second. Let's go over to her actually on an interview with CNN. It was CNN, not MSNBC. CNN, and they're talking about Guantanamo Bay. Check it out.
You were looking at some of the first pictures of what's going on right now at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. Tents are going up and more migrants are transported to the base this weekend, and they are going to continue to do so. You and the president have said repeatedly that the worst of the worst will be held at Guantanamo. There are a few dozen people there already. I believe they're right now being held in cells for...
Dana Bash, a lot of times, she don't even know how to speak full sentences. She gets so caught up. It's almost like she didn't do her research and she don't got her homework together. And so Dana Bash, a lot of times, it's like she reading off of a paper and she don't know how to have a real conversation. But we're going to see what she has to say.
Used to house terror suspects. So can you give more specifics about who's there right now, what crimes have they committed, and how long you're going to detain them?
So there are several planes that have transported individuals to the base, and they are in the system and the facilities that, you know, a lot of our worst terrorist criminals have been incarcerated for many years. These individuals are the worst of the worst that we pulled off of our streets.
Who are they?
Murderers, rapists. So when I was there, I was able to watch one of the flights landing and them unload about 15 different of these criminals. Those were mainly child pedophiles, those that were out there trafficking children, trafficking drugs, and were pulled off of our streets and put at this facility.
You're building tents for a lot more than, how many are there now?
Well, they're putting up tents.
Y'all don't like my Russian Indian accent? Y'all don't like my Russian Indian accent? PIN number? Healthcare. Health. Foot. Maintenance. Bit by snake. Heading over border. Dodging cartel. Bus ride. Chicago or Chicago. Chicago. Single moms plentiful. Single moms plentiful in Chicago. They like I think they like me. Oh, I think they like me. Over in Chicago. Y'all don't like my Russian Indian accent?
That will have the capacity to go up to 30,000 people. That's not stood up yet because a lot of our soldiers that's got there received orders just days ago. I think they've been putting up facilities for the last 5 days.
There are lots of different sort of buckets of people, if you will. You're right now talking about, as you say, again, the worst of the worst, these people who you say committed crimes. But
we got to get serious, y'all. Let's focus.
First of all, whether there are 30,000 people who fit that description.
Right, correct.
Are there?
You know, we are going through the process of identifying those that are on our radar. You know, the president committed during the campaign that he believed we needed to have mass deportation. So we're going after those that have been the violent criminals perpetuating crimes in our communities, also those with final removal orders, and then we'll continue down the priority list.
And will they be held in the tents?
It's potentially, but we're going to keep people safe too. So it depends on how dangerous they are and how they act in these facilities. So we have beds in the United States today that we're using and will continue to use that are ICE detention facilities, but we've got a lot of local law enforcement, a lot of communities and states that want to partner with us too, saying we have facilities.
Thank you, Nehemiah.
Like to partner. And I think that's fantastic because that's really what we need is the federal government working with those local officials because they know where these dangerous criminals are.
I just want to ask you about that before I move on. There are reports that ICE is over capacity.
There have been reports, but remember, we're continuously busing people back to Mexico, continuously flying people out of the country and repatriating them back to their. So there's still room, absolutely.
The Lincoln-Riley Act requires you at the DHS to detain individuals who have been charged with but not convicted of nonviolent crimes like theft or shoplifting. ICE
reading that super chat shortly.
It comes and goes, but at some point they're likely to be at capacity. So could those people end up at Guantanamo?
You know, I don't know what the president will decide as far as utilizing it. We want to have the capacity. The facilities will look different.
Exactly.
They certainly will not be used if.
Really, y'all? Come on, come on, Rocco. Stop it, Rocco. Y'all be pushing it. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. You think I should do that accent the rest of the show? I'm gonna be honest with you guys, Rocco. I think y'all just be pushing it. Y'all just colorists at the end of the day. Honest to God, y'all like pale skin. Now, I'm a fan of Kristi and the job that she's doing as a part of the Trump administration, but y'all just be pushing it. Come on, man. Fine. Y'all just colorists. That's all it is to it. Y'all like the whiter the berry, the sweeter the squeeze. Not the sweeter the juice, the sweeter the squeeze. Nah, I'm not going for that, bro. Not going for that. Respectfully, because I like Kristi, so I'm going to just leave it, let her be. Y'all pushing, bro. Look at Quentin. Come on, dog. She's just a regular girl at the end of the day. At the end of the day, she's just a regular, she just normal. You would walk down the street, you wouldn't say anything, you would say hi, and then you would keep it moving. Have a friendly dialogue back and forth past her, wouldn't think twice about her at all. Y'all pushing it so hard. Jesus.
If in these prison systems, we have different camps at Guantanamo Bay, different levels of incarceration. We will have some facilities that will be up to the same standards as other detention facilities in the United States. And I don't think the president's going to tie his hands on what he needs to do to make sure that America is safe.
A lot of this, as you said, the timeline for how long people are going to be there depends on whether or not anybody's going to take them.
Right.
So it could be that some people are going to be there indefinitely.
You know, what's interesting to me is the previous administration knew who these people were that were committing these crimes. They knew where these folks that had final removal orders were in our country, could have negotiated agreements with these other countries to take them back home and didn't. And we saw countries like Venezuela release their prisons and their mental health
what are you doing
individuals
now?
to come
are
to
you
the United
comfortable
States.
that you're going to be able to not keep them there indefinitely?
I'm super thrilled that Secretary of State Rubio has been actively going out and negotiating, taking people home. So that's part of all the decisions on when we identify people in communities. as soon as we're able to go get them and return them back home as quickly as possible. So my goal is that people are not in these facilities for weeks and months. My goal is that there's a short-term stay. They're able to go incarcerate them, take them, follow the process, and get them back to their country.
That's your goal, but
yes.
You're not ruling out that they could be there for weeks.
I'm not going to rule that out, because we are going to continue to make sure that we're talking with every single country, but it's not an option for us to leave people here illegally anymore. American citizens have been put behind people who have chosen to come and break our laws, and that's not going to happen anymore.
Immigration is one of the parts of it, and FEMA is another.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I'm not opposed to them holding illegal migrants in Guantanamo until they can get them up out of here. I'm not opposed to it. I remember Colombia tried to stand on business and say, you can't shackle our people and then send them over here. Well, most of them are illegal migrants and they criminals that committed crimes in addition to crossing over the border illegally. What makes you think that we supposed to let them run amok on top of the cargo plane while we get them back to their home country? I'm not opposed to it. I don't see any problem with using any place inside of the United States of America to safely house people until we can get them up out of here. I'm not opposed to it at all. So I don't know if anybody else is opposed to it or have problems with it, but I certainly don't have problems with it. Let me read some of these Cash Apps and Super Chats, and then we can continue on with the day. Shout out to Shamara. Says, K-Dot had on a pair of your old bootcut jeans. Let me turn this red. That was a good one. Now I'm angry. Let me see. Now that was a good one. You got me with that one. They said Kendrick had on a pair of my old bootcut jeans. All right, Shamir. All right, you got me with this one. Occasionally y'all get one off on me. That's cool. I ain't gonna trip about it. Rand Wilson says Trump asked the Treasury to stop producing pennies. Yeah, I thought about that over the weekend. Somebody gave me some change from something that I had bought at the gas station or whatever. And I was like, yeah, why do we need pennies? I don't think we need pennies anymore. That's a conversation. We could talk about it. Yeah. You got one off on me, Shamira. I'll give you that one. Big J all day says, Rick Ross, I don't bop. I do the money dance. Shout out to Big J all day. I appreciate you, big dog. Shout out to your beard, too. I like that. Whiskey Pierre Louise says, Anton, shalom and blessings. Shout out to Mike That Dude. Shout out to my dog, Mike That Dude. Drew in the building. Drew says, did you see the story what story? About a Mexican restaurant that had 12 workers removed by ICE. Mexican and Chinese restaurants going to have to start hiring. Well, this is an opportunity for y'all to start your own business in order to replace them. Spaces says, Azriel said you sound like Fatty, and I agree. Fatty is cool. I like Fatty. Pookie's friend Ray Ray says she's beautiful. I'd give my entire pension for one date. Yeah, we know you joking. DJ Clutch Shots in the building says she mid at best. I just think that most people are just regular. I think that most people are regular, and there's no need in making it more than what it is. Did we go over JFK breakdown of U.S. spending? No. Cynthia Haynes says, Anton, despite them demo rats, what them demo rats are saying, President Trump has some bad kick A's snow bunnies on his team. He does. He has some dope women on his team. Your accent is like Trump saying Tren de Aragua. Shout out to all of my people. I appreciate y'all. Danny Shade in the building says Kendrick had those bootcut low-rise jeans from Express in 1998. I haven't watched it. I haven't watched everything yet. So make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel. We got a lot of people in here, and I'm not sure if you guys are subscribed. I'm not sure if you guys have hit a like for the algorithm. Obviously, you haven't because the likes is not matching the viewers. It would be awesome if you guys could subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you know exactly when we go live. Again, just to give you guys an update, we will be doing the live stream here in the studio today and tomorrow. And then the next day, well, tomorrow afternoon or evening, I got a flight out to D.C. I got to head to the White House. And I'm going to be there until I'm there. All right, so we're just going to assume that. We got a live stream this weekend for the Bag Chasers and the Patreon members, so make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. We go on Block Club, all right? We go on Block Club, and then last but not least, which will be mixed with a little bit of a tax information. And then last but not least, I got a video that's dropping for y'all, so make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. What up, sister? What up, baby girl? I love you. What up, Azriel? What up, Gio? Gio in the building. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to your car. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. And shout out to the Bag Chasers. All right. Let's continue. Wes Moore. Let's flip over. Let's go second half of the show. We're going to go Democrats. All right. Now, Wes Moore has some advice for federal workers and employees that have been offered a buyout. All right. Wes Moore is warning people. I have not watched the video yet. I did play it for 10 seconds just to make sure that the video would be sufficient for us to be able to play here on the Millionaire Morning Show. But Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland, who was recently proposed a budget for more taxes, higher tax rates, and higher taxes on things that you use every single day that you buy that you need for survival. I think that Wes Moore is doing a horrible job over there in Maryland. But let's take a look at what he had to say, and we're going to be objective to figure out whether or not we agree with him, okay? We don't want to go in with any dispositions against him. We're going to see what he has to say. Let's talk.
So you just delivered your State of the State address this week, and in that State of the State address, you said that Maryland is being tested by a new administration in Washington. You said, we've seen the beginnings of a trade war, the shuttering of federal agencies, and plans to lay off thousands of workers. These ideological moves will have the distinct impact of hurting the middle class. You are in a unique spot for a range of reasons, but including Maryland is right next to Washington, D.C.
That's right.
You're hugely impacted.
We're uniquely just tethered to Washington, where I have over 160,000 federal employees who call the state of Maryland home, and that doesn't include our contractors. That does not include our uniformed personnel. We're the home of Fort Meade, of Aberdeen Proving Grounds, of the United States Naval Academy. Some of the largest and most important assets that we have in our country call the state of Maryland home. And so when we're watching things like a whole flurry of executive orders, many of them performative, many of them contradictory, many of them not thought out at all, many of them unconstitutional and illegal. And you're watching a level of panic and frustration amongst a population are simply public servants, people who show up every single day at these various agencies and who are just hoping to do good work on behalf of the American people. It's something that cannot go without a response from me.
So let's stop there because we want to break this down, and I want to kind of see what Wes Moore has to say. My first thought, because you know how my brain works, and my brain works a little bit differently. My brain works from the lens of when I hear people say certain things, it kind of triggers a different train of thought that's not probably intentional from the interviewer. So, for example, when he says that Maryland is home to over 160,000 federal employees, 160,000. Okay, so if you remove military, Navy, things like that, right? If you remove that, and then you have all of the rest of these hundreds of thousands of employees that are federal workers, that mean that they're on American taxpayer payrolls. Is that one of the reasons why places like Maryland and DC feel compelled to continue to operate not as a business, not be efficient with your tax dollars, okay with raising taxes, not being fiscally responsible in general with how it is that they manage state and federal budgets? Is that one of the reasons why? Because basically Maryland and the states and the cities and that's surrounding it, they're subsidized by the federal government. That is a lot of people, honestly. It is a lot of people. A whole lot. And I would have to just assume that there's a large portion of those people that's not all of them, but could be downsized, which would then force these states to build up businesses and petition and build up and have a better strategy for working with business owners and small businesses and having incentive programs for other things to be able to proliferate inside of their states, but they don't because they subsidize by taxpayers. If you go over to DC, I will be in DC tomorrow. If you go over to DC, if you go over to Washington, the Uber drivers, everybody will tell you that the majority of the people that work there are government employees. It is a huge pot of gumbo of government employees that work in all facets of government. But I would imagine that a lot of these states are panicking, and a lot of the state leaders are panicking because these people are going to have to try to figure out jobs in the private sector, which could cause them to move away from the Maryland, the DMV area. The DMV area.
People. It's something that
somebody said federal employees pay taxes too. That's not the point. Their pay comes from taxpayers. Think about what you just said for a second. Let's stop for a minute. Think about what you just said for a minute. You said federal employees pay taxes too. Think about what y'all saying. Think about what being fiscally responsible means, and then think about our tax base, think about our tax system, and then think about how we use that money to benefit taxpayers. We pay taxes. All of us. If you are legal and you're doing it the right way, we all pay taxes, right? We all pay taxes. Then it goes into this big old pot, trillions and trillions of dollars every year, for Congress to say, okay, we're going to put money over here, we're going to put money over there, we're going to put money over there. Congress take our tax dollars, they pay themselves, then they pay their friends, then they subsidize diversity, equity, and inclusion, then they give away all of our money to these mysterious places that Elon Musk is auditing that we know not of, okay? And then a federal employee who is using our taxpayer dollars to do their job, their health care, their equipment, everything, right? They take our taxpayer dollars and they say, well, we pay taxes out of your taxpayer dollars back to the same federal government that's giving us taxpayer dollars. Think about what we're saying. Our money is taxed, which goes into a pot that pays you to be taxed to go back into our money that pay people to distribute our money to the people that's taxing us. If this isn't the biggest finesse I've ever seen in my entire life, from a C student, it's literally a finesse. We're taxed to pay you to get taxed so that you can buy things that you're paying taxes on, so that you can then hopefully live a decent life when you retire, so that we can start drawing on money to get taxed on once it's grown to a specific amount. It is compound taxing. The only way we even get ahead is by unrealized gains and continuing to create things that people need. It is compound taxing. When you break it down, it is compound taxing. So when I see people that jump in my chat where they drop a comment and they say, well, government employees pay taxes too. If you understood how the system worked, it wouldn't make a difference. It's a zero-sum game. You basically keeping people busy for all to come back into the same pot, for them to then distribute overseas to somebody else that didn't know how to keep their D in their pants, and so now they need AIDS medication and they need PrEP.
Cannot go without a response from me.
How has your job changed in the last 3 weeks?
It's like a light switch, because all we look for is partnership. Mm-hmm. You know, I understand my sole responsibility is to making sure that I'm protecting the 6.5 million people who call Maryland home. My sole responsibility is making sure that we can make life more affordable for them. All we ask for is partnership, is communication, is guidance, is consistency, is predictability. And for the last 2.5 weeks, we have gotten anything but those things from this new administration, and it's troubling.
I think it's so
Look at another ignorant comment. They show Elon didn't pay any taxes. Interesting. Elon has paid more taxes than anybody in history in the United States of America. I think y'all really need to go and y'all gotta seriously, y'all have to go and research exactly how this works. Y'all have to research how this works. Even the headline that you're going to use, and it says Tesla reported zero federal tax income on $2 billion of U.S. income. It says Elon Musk's company avoided almost all federal income tax on nearly $11 billion in U.S. income over 3 years. Do you understand how that works? Do y'all understand unrealized gains? Do you understand having a corporation? Do you understand the LLC and exactly what the difference is? How you report on taxes? Do you understand what he paid on taxes in 2022 and 2023? You don't get it? You don't understand it? Y'all don't understand it? Are y'all confused? Would you like for me to teach a class on exactly how it works? Or would you just like to join the bag chasers and better understand it?
Important for people to understand the actual impact on people's lives. And as a governor, you know that well. I mean, you proposed in your speech a historic investment in public education. I am a mother of little kids. You're a father of little kids. Hugely important in our nation's schools. The president seems to want to get rid of the Department of Education. Help us understand what would that impact that would have on kids in Maryland.
Well, I don't understand it. And one
in 2021,
thing, much of education
Elon
policy
Musk paid close to $11 billion in taxes alone.
Is actually not made in Washington, D.C. It is made.
And here's the thing. Any program that allows for them to be able to do what they do, you can also do it too. Did you know that? That it's not just, I'm not going to do it today. Let's continue.
The states, right? So the states and local jurisdictions really are the ones who are doing everything from curriculum to class sizes and all that type of stuff. However, the Department of Education does play an important role. It's everything from assistance in funding. It's larger guidance about how we're looking at preparation for college and careers. It's being able to make sure that we're sharing best practices around the country. So the Department of Education does play an important role, and the public servants who work there are doing really important work.
One of the impacts.
The Department of Education has been broken for years. Matter of fact, let me do a little bit of research. I want to share something with y'all.
In your state is on federal workers and the federal workforce. 2 million federal workers were offered a version of a buyout, which is not legal, to leave their jobs. What's happening at USAID is also having ripple effects around the world, but it's affecting hundreds of employees in Baltimore. This all seems to be at the hands of Elon Musk. When people your constituents are calling you or questioning your office, what's going on here? What can we do about this? What do you tell them?
Part of the challenge I'm seeing with some things we're seeing with DOGE is that it's not thought out, and actually much of it is illegal, because you cannot just dismantle departments or agencies. The Congress actually does have a check and a balance on that. The Congress has a role in that. And so when you're hearing things like we're going to offer an 8-month buyout, it can't be honored because it's illegal.
Do you tell people not to take it when they call your office?
Oh, I tell people, be careful on what you're signing, because once you sign something, that is permanent. And
so what he's basically telling you is that Congress is preventing us from being able to run efficiently. He's saying that we have so much red tape and so many bureaucrats that Congress is preventing you from being able to run efficiently. That, hey, listen, as long as you work for the state, as long as you work for the federal government, you will be guaranteed income and a job for the rest of your life. And that is the craziest thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. I've never heard such nonsense in my entire life. So you're telling me that Congress can give you a job? I thought that Congress provided the funding, that they approve the budget that ultimately is dispersed out to these agencies. Granted that the agencies actually are doing the right thing with the money. But if you find a bunch of fraud and you find a bunch of people that's not doing what they're supposed to do, and more importantly, if the agency is not running efficiently, then you need to get rid of it. Do we have any processes in place that would allow for us to disband or get rid of agencies? Or do we just create them and we keep them forever? Why isn't it the same amount of, because when DOGE was created, they said that we want this to end, and they even have a website. It's a website setup that shows you how many days they have left to do whatever it is that they need to do inside of the agency. How many days that they have left? It's an 18-month initiative that forces them to go through every single federal agency with a fine-tooth comb to find out exactly how your taxpayer money is being spent. And I don't see why anybody is in an uproar about the fact that the taxpayer money is being spent in fraud, is being stolen. So why would you want to protect fraud unless you are a part of fraud? That's all what I'm trying to understand.
So when you are hearing that there is going to be an 8-month buyout or 10-month contract negotiation, just be clear, unless Congress approves that, it's not legitimate. And so the thing that we want people to know that, and I believe in government efficiency. In fact, I signed an executive order just months ago for starting the government modernization initiative in the state of Maryland, where we are going to save the people of our state tens of millions of dollars by doing basic things like fleet management and IT consolidation and procurement reform and real estate. And so you can actually do really important work, save
and raising taxes on the people.
The people of your jurisdiction's money and do it smartly, efficiently, and transparently.
Nope.
The challenge that we've seen with DOGE is it's not smart, it's not efficient, and it's definitely not transparent.
There has never been a more transparent agency that day by day they are releasing information on every single part of the government that they're finding. And more importantly, why is no Democrat whining and complaining and going off about the fact that we are spending billions and billions and billions of dollars sending money out to different places that not supposed to have it? That we just see money flying out through the air and it's not even best for us. That we are funding initiatives. We are funding diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. We're funding the opportunity to be gay in other countries. They gave $10 million to a Sesame Street program in Iraq. I don't know anybody that would support the idea of giving $10 million to fund a Sesame Street program, propaganda in Iraq. The silliest thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. Sesame Street, 10 million, Iraq. Everybody in Congress, almost everybody in Congress needs to be fired.
Anything you can do as governor to help prevent these federal workers from losing their jobs?
I mean, the challenge
was it 20
for
million?
a lot of the folks is if they're working for the federal government, it's something outside of state boundaries. I'm proud of how many federal employees that we have that are living in the state of Maryland, but it's difficult to counter what happens on their own individual contracts. The thing that I want all of our Marylanders who are federal employees to know is that their service is valued.
20 million for Sesame Street in Iraq? Jeez. $20
that their service is needed. And so I would just ask people as they are going through and thinking through this, remember who needs you in those seats now more than ever.
These are all apolitical individuals just keeping communities safe, which I think is so important to keep restating.
That's right. They work for Democrats and Republicans. It does not matter, because while they might work, for a Democratic president or Republican president, who they really work for is the
what did I tell you all about that thing? This right here. They are taught that. They are taught that when you see a politician start to talk like this, and they talk with their finger like this, Obama did it. Obama did it. Kamala Harris tried to do it. Wes Moore does it successfully. Lifetime politicians, they talk with their hands and they speak with one hand and they talk like this. Because they can't point at you because then it's too aggressive. They can't keep their hands down because it seems like they're not engaged. They speak like this, okay?
They work for Democrats and Republicans. It does not matter, because while they might work, for a Democratic president or Republican president, who they really work for is the American people.
The city of Baltimore is suing the Trump administration over its efforts to eliminate DEI programs through executive orders. And DEI has been used as a guise from Trump and MAGA world for eliminating basically large swaths of the federal government. It was also used as, I would just call it, a slur around the bridge collapse in your state. As you're watching this, what is your reaction to what you're seeing them do with DEI?
My reaction is we focus on excellence. And the reason that we want to make sure that we have a table that is big enough that everybody has a voice and everybody has a say is because it's the best way to be able to make sure you're covering down your blind spots. It's the best way of understanding what opportunities that you have a chance to capture that you might not have thought of yourself. It's important because you want to have a multitude of perspectives that are around the table. And that's why I think having a diverse body and really putting a lens on social equity, why that does matter in terms of being able to produce. I think about our cabinet in the state of Maryland. We have, I think unquestionably, the most outstanding cabinet group of cabinet secretaries, agency heads that our state has ever seen. It also happens to be the most diverse.
Isn't it funny that Maryland is in shambles and they actually operating at a budget deficit, yet they have some of the most talented cabinet members, some of the most elite diversity, equity, and inclusion people at the table. Yet just less than 2.5, 3 weeks ago, I was doing a report on how these same legislators that's over in Maryland was absolutely going off on Wes Moore about the fact that they are going to be causing the people more money every single day, and they have an inability to be able to balance their own budget. Yet you have the greatest cabinet of people in the world in Maryland. Y'all give it up for Wes Moore. Shout out to Wes. Is it Wes or Wesley? Is it Wes or Wesley, y'all? Y'all let me know inside of the chat. JJ says, bro, look like General Come on, man. Y'all so mean. Come on, dog. Come on. Listen, I don't like Wes and his politics. Y'all crazy out here in these streets. Wes is just a cool guy. He seemed like a regular guy that's well-spoken, that's just on the wrong side of the fence with bad ideas. Young Gladiator says, good morning, Anton. With you going to the White House, how much do I got to lobby for you to mention family court laws to Trump? Just kidding, kinda. Jerry says, Jen Psaki really skating past like she wasn't press secretary before Karine Jean-Pierre and was terrible at the job too. That administration was a hot mess. I agree. He's an embarrassment to Maryland. I agree with that also. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's talk with Reverend Big Head. Shout out to Reverend Bobblehead in the building. Reverend Bobblehead pulled up to the Morning Joe on MSNBC, and he has some things to say about Democrats getting bullied and being tossed around by the Republicans and focusing on what they wanted to talk about. I thought it would be something good for us to be able to entertain. Let's talk about it, y'all.
And Rev, I want to point to a piece in the New York Times that looks into another angle as to what's going on here, what many see as an identity crisis the Democratic Party is facing about identity politics. Reporter Shane Goldmacher writes this: Democrats are grappling with how to stand up for diversity and defend marginalized groups that have come under assault from the White House without allowing their party to be defined or marginalized by those fights. President Trump has pushed to make DEI a dirty word, racing to unravel diversity programs across the federal government at a remarkable speed. But Democrats are struggling to marshal an effective response. They are debating publicly and privately when to push back, how to push back, and what exactly to push back on.
How come nobody is ever asking Reverend Al Sharpton about his $500,000 that he got from the Kamala Harris campaign to interview her. I thought, honestly, I said, I'm in the wrong business, because I thought that the interviewee a lot of times donate in order to get the attention of the person that they're interviewing, or is this a mutual thing? Hey, I give you an interview, you give me more visibility, so on and so forth. I didn't know that people was getting paid to interview you. I said, I'm on the wrong side. What am I? Maybe I need to be liberal. How come ain't nobody ever asked Rev about the $500,000 he got from the Kamala Harris campaign in order to continue to finesse the people? Don't worry about it. Let's see what he got to say.
Some are saying that almost no instances of discrimination, especially rank racism, should go unanswered. Others are pressing the party to be more selective and engage only in cultural battles that are winnable. And still others are urging the party to avoid identity politics altogether, even when Republicans seem to be opening themselves up to a fierce counterattack. And so my question to you, Rev, is where do you stand on this? Some say some of these fights are for another day, as we're in complete crisis.
I think that what the Democratic Party I think that what the
Democrat Party needs to do is to focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we need to go and boycott Costco to make sure that they have our products inside of the stores. And if they don't want to recognize our contribution to this company and to the George Floyd circumstance that caused Black Lives Matters in the first place, then why should we spend our dollars in these organizations? And as far as the Trump administration, we need to make sure that we hold their feet to the fire. And why are our Democrats focused on doing what the Republicans are telling us to do? Look at that hair. Al with the good hair.
Leadership of the party is a stand for something and not try to be all things to all people. Mm-hmm. And when I read the article, I think that's the debate. Either you're going to say that we are for diversity, diversity meaning blacks and women and LGBTQ and disabled. Don't let them interpret what it is.
Diversity. I gotta get my camel. Diversity, equity, inclusion, to include black people. I'm working on it. We're going to get there with Al. I promise you.
That we stand for that. We stand for good policing, but we don't stand for defund the police. You have to have enough nerve and enough backbone to say, define who you are and why you are, rather than be defined by your enemies. And I think that too often the Democrats have allowed their opposition to define them, and they accept the definition. Mm-hmm. So they are defined as extremists, and you all about defund the police, and you all about anarchy, and they become defensive rather than they set the tone. You're dealing with a president that has saluted the worst division in this country, that said it was fine people that were saying Jews will not replace us, that's now talking about, while we are talking about by excluding and deporting people to Mexico, saying that whites are being oppressed in South Africa and they're welcome to be refugees here. Why aren't the Democrats exploiting? Here's a man saying whites are being oppressed, bring them in. We have room for them. We have room for Canada, room for Greenland, but Mexicans and Haitians go out. Democrats need to be dancing all over that. Otherwise, they're going to end up like Patrick Mahomes going home without the win.
I want to read to you just to get.
Did he really just made a Super Bowl reference?
A little deeper on this, what Brianna Wu, a transgender woman and Democratic strategist.
Ooh, I want to know about these.
Who ran for Congress in 2018. Here's what we're hearing from Brianna, who for years has been pushing for an extreme view of transgender rights. She blamed party leaders for embracing positions like around participation in girls' sports that turn off voters, and said this aided Republican efforts to roll back transgender rights more broadly.
And you know what's so funny? I actually agree. Brianna Wu blamed party leaders for embracing positions like around participation in girls' sports that turn off voters, and said this has aided in Republican efforts to roll back transgender rights more broadly. I agree, and that's one of the reasons why we thank Democrats. We thank Democrats for making sure that y'all keep this at the forefront, which has allowed us to address it directly, head on, more broadly, instead of y'all cloaking it in secrecy and trying to push through things that's not supposed to be there. You guys have been open and honest about what it is that y'all been doing and what y'all agenda is, because y'all got cocky about it, and that has allowed us to roll back and get things back in order the way that it's supposed to be. Yep, I agree 100%. Absolutely accurate, 1,000.
Quote, it doesn't help marginalized people to not be able to win elections. The purpose of the Democratic Party is to win elections. We don't need to be babysitting the emotional state of activists.
And I think that clearly we, again, allowed them to define us.
No, y'all defined yourself.
You used to say to me, those that define you can confine you. And I think the definition, when they came out with this blitz on transgender, exaggerating the point, there was no pushback saying, no, we're not saying that. We're saying people have rights.
Mm-hmm. So the reason why they didn't push back is because it was true. See, listen. Democrats attacked Republicans for things that was false. Republicans attacked Democrats for things that were true. That was the difference in the election. That was the difference between how people voted. Even when you seen people vote Democrat, they voted because they didn't like Trump. They were voting off of things that you emotionally got attached to. And then the Republicans started highlighting things that were true. So that when they then asked Kamala Harris, for example, hey, what do you feel about, and why are you then funding transitions inside of prisons at the behalf of taxpayers for transgender communities in the LGBTQ community? She had no answer for it except to say, well, I'm just going to follow the law. That's what we put on the books, and so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow the law. I'm not going to fight back against it. I'm not going to push back against it. How can you push back against something that's not true? What you going to say? Oh, no, they just exaggerating. No, it was true. It was 1,000% true. Planned Parenthood pulled up to the Democratic National Convention. We just pulled our cameras out and started recording them and say, hey, man, look at what they're doing. It was absolutely true. Joe Biden got pushed out by Nancy Pelosi and everybody else, and he was feeling some type of way, and so he threw the rest of y'all under the bus. It was absolutely true. And so that was the difference. We called y'all out on the stuff that y'all did that was true, and then they threw a bunch of stuff at conservatives that was absolutely false. And they still doing it today. And that's the funniest part about it, is that Democrats still have the same strategy that they had over the last 4 years, and they think that it's going to work for them. Y'all still willing to die on the hill of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Are y'all really still stuck on diversity? Do y'all not realize that nobody cares about your agenda and how you feel about making sure that rights are had for people that don't even have to disclose what their sexuality is in the first place? Nobody cares. Nobody cares at all for that. They think that you are wasting your time and that you're doing the dumbest thing ever. You're spending they spent so much advertiser money on trying to convince women that their rights would be taken when it came to their ability to delete their child. Let me ask y'all a question. How many of y'all actually see them still raising that same talking point? Do you realize that whole effort, that whole ability, that whole thing to try to use propaganda, lies, and finessing went away the minute that the election is over? How come we don't see people still advocating for it? How come it's still not an issue? How many of y'all are having problems deleting your babies and you are still crying about the fact that you can't remove your babies as a form of contraception? I don't see anybody, nobody, zilch, nada at all. Nobody is complaining about it. Nobody is making a big deal about it. Why? What happened to y'all? Y'all forgot about it? Did y'all forget about the thing that was supposed to be meaningful to y'all? Y'all said that y'all was going to get y'all rights taken away to do what you wanted to do with your body, your choice. What happened to my body, my choice? How come is it still there? Did you lose your choices yet? Did you lose your choices yet? What happened to it? How come we not still having the same talking points that we was having during the election? Where did it go? How come nobody is protesting about it? What y'all talk about? We're going to talk about that later. Don't worry about it. We'll get there.
I think that she, in many ways, says what is true, and that is that we cannot appear reckless in where we're fighting in terms of trying to make people be forced into situations that they do not want to be forced in if we don't believe in. I believe in transgender rights, but I do not believe that should be the lead and defined by the opposition.
Says a reverend.
Well, and that's exactly how Democrats were defined. If you look at the polls that came out afterwards.
Listen. Willie Frazier, stop calling me Antoine. That is not my name. Willie. And you can't guarantee nothing. Willie. Big dog. Willie. Hopefully your name is William. Because if your real name is Willie, you're going to have a hell of a time getting employed here in the United States of America, because we discriminate over here. Willie Frazier. If that's not one of the blackest names that I've ever seen in my entire life. Shout out to Willie Frazier and your parents holding your heritage together, making sure that they stay on point. Shout out to Willie. You guarantee that they're going to regret voting for him. Right now, we rejoicing. We excited.
That's what most Americans thought Democrats cared the most for, in part because of an ad blitz. But I do want to read you this also from the article, from the Times article, Rev, about the split in the party and what happened even during the election for party leader. Just how far the party is from consensus was apparent during the recent election for the next chairman of the Democratic National Committee, which devolved at times into almost a caricature of left-wing litmus tests on inclusivity. Candidates were asked to...
Listen to Willie. He said, he'll yeah. I love it. He'll yeah. Do you know that HE''LL is not the same as hell? It's he will. Like he'll come over to my house later on today. He will come over to my house later on today. Do y'all know the difference between there, and there? They are there. There, like they're coming over and they are coming over. There they go right there. Don't worry about it. We'll get there, y'all. We'll get there. We got you, Willie. We're going to bring you along.
Pledge to expand transgender representation.
And let me also say something, too. Y'all keep on blaming it on autocorrect. Autocorrect don't make it incorrect. Autocorrect makes it correct. It fixes it. And we have AI included in your autocorrect. Y'all got Apple Intelligence now. Y'all not going to keep on lying to me and blaming it on autocorrect. Autocorrect did it the wrong way. Autocorrect don't work that way. Autocorrect fix the problem. Autocorrect highlights the issue and then it fixes it. It makes it right. It gives you periods, capital letters, it gives you commas, and it spells things correctly. Autocorrect don't uncorrect it. If you're doing it the right way, autocorrect ain't gonna say, you know what? Let me go ahead and do it the wrong way this time. Y'all gonna stop lying on Siri and Grammarly and all of these other programs. Y'all not gonna keep on lying. If you don't know how to spell, just say that, and we gonna get you together. But y'all not gonna autocorrect. Autocorrect is gonna do it the wrong way every time. Autocorrect don't mess it up; it fixes it. That's my experience.
Add a new Muslim caucus and affirmed that racism and misogyny contributed to Kamala Harris's defeat. Last Saturday, the departing DNC chairman, Jamie Harrison, labored to explain the party's dizzyingly complex gender parity provisions. Our rules specify that when we have a gender non-binary candidate or office...
Y'all said autocorrect turns y'all hell in the heel. That's because autocorrect recognizes... Let me tell you what it is. Autocorrect now has AI installed in it, right? And so what happens is it learns see, now y'all telling on yourselves because it learns the way that you speak and the way that you talk and the way that you type, and then it recommends it based off of what you used to. So a lot of y'all keep saying the dumb stuff that y'all say on a regular basis, or you keep talk to texting and stuff like that. And so autocorrect now is saying, no, you talk like a crazy man. This is how you really talk, Willie. This is how you talk. So now, that's what it does. That's exactly what AI does. AI recognizes who you are and make you more of what you already are. AI is just like money. Money don't fix you and make you more of what you already are. That's what AI does. AI is like, hey man, you used to talking like this. And so it makes the recommendation based off of that. That's what it does. Autocorrect mixed with AI make you more of what you already are. It ain't YouTube. It ain't YouTube. It learns y'all ways. It's learning y'all ways. Yeah, I'm telling y'all. See? You tried to finesse, and now look what you done did. Don't worry about it. But I know one thing about it is that with all of this stuff, with these Democrats and stuff have going on, with all of this stuff that Democrats have going on today, one of the biggest things that I see people complaining about is the fact that, oh my God, I don't want Elon Musk to have my personal information. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't want him to have your personal information? What personal information? What are you going to do with your numbers? I seen y'all numbers. I seen what the average credit score is. I seen what the average reading level is. Your social security number, if we just want to be absolutely honest and transparent, you probably worth more dead than you are alive. Big Mama just waiting on you to go ahead, boop, kick the can so that she can go ahead and try to get that insurance money. She going to have $2,000 left after you get your $120,000 policy. Bury you is going to cost $7,000. The rest of it is going to cost all of your debts and obligations. It's going to cost about $107, $106. And that's it. You can't get a pack of gum with Afterpay after what you got going on. Some of y'all just got y'all cars repossessed. Half of the calls that I be getting half the time when y'all be in the comments, should I let my car go and get repossessed, or should I file for bankruptcy for the next 7 to 10 years? What are you gonna do with your information? What makes you think that your information is so valuable? Y'all worried about the wrong thing. You got more dollars going out of the U.S. Treasury finessing than ever before. People is out here stealing you blind, and you out here worried about whether or not he got your information. He already got half of y'all information. Don't you know that Tesla cars drive every day and it maps the entire streets? Y'all jump on TikTok and Instagram. Here I am. I'm right here. Yeah, this guy, I can't believe it. He took me out on a date. His name is John. His name is Willie Frazier. Willie Frazier then took me out on a date, and guess what, girl? He cheap. Y'all got whole Facebook groups identifying what man is who inside of y'all city and whether or not he dating more than one of y'all at the same time. Y'all share information. You tell everything about yourself. You share your data with TikTok. The Chinese got more information than Trump got on you, and you sitting here watching. Y'all ain't worried about ByteDance. Y'all went and signed up for Red Note. Their terms and conditions is in Mandarin. Their terms and conditions is in a combination of Mandarin and Cantonese. You hit the confirm button, hit check. Yes, I agree. You don't even check your paperwork when you get in a job and a new job. You just sign. You finance whole cars and don't even know your interest rate. Y'all finance whole cars, and your question is, what is my payment going to be? Not what my interest rate is. I just want to make sure that we putting all of this in perspective. I don't want us to be confused about what's happening right now. I want us to really, really make sure that we setting our priorities straight, because Elon Musk is auditing the federal government to find out where our taxpayer dollars are. And you worried about your 473 credit score. That's why the what is it called? The trade credit repair gurus, they can't even do nothing for you, but you keep on signing. I'm going to get my credit repaired. Why are you trying to get your credit repaired instead of getting your money right? Instead of getting your spending habits right? Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. What could he do with your numbers? And it be the main broke ones. The ones that ain't got no job. Hair cocked to the side. I don't like the fact that he's in the treasury with all of my information. Sir, nobody wants to know what kind of medication you on. We can't do nothing with that information. You on PrEP, you on HIV medication, you on herpes, chlamydia shots. Y'all need to be more concerned about your my charts than you are about that. You need to be more concerned about your my charts. You ain't, since 18 years old and you went to college, you ain't been net worth positive one day in your life. The USA just a wash. Okay, well, that one is broke. You ain't been net positive on your net worth since you was 18 years old. Matter of fact, when you was 14 years old, your mother put your lights in your name. The light bill is in your name when you was 13. Your mama did mess. You should have been holding your mama accountable, but you want to, I can't believe it, Elon Musk. You typing on X, formerly known as Twitter. Elon Musk is taking our information. You typing on a platform that he owns. Our priorities are so messed up. Our priorities are so messed up. Y'all willing to think. I seen a story that came into my email over the weekend, and I had got Rita. I ordered Rita a new iPhone, and so it came with the 16 or whatever. The 16s with the 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence, and I'm like, all right, well, give me a phone. So she, because Rita got more than one phone. She got one for the business, one for this or whatever, so on and so forth. I said, all right, go ahead and give me a phone. She was like, oh, you don't want to erase that yet. I said, why? She said, oh, you can sell that phone. I said, Rita, I'm not about to be out here on Facebook Marketplace selling no phones. I ain't got no time for that. She said, Anton, people are out here buying phones that have TikTok already installed on them for so many thousands of dollars. I said, no, I said, you lying. Impossible. No way that people are that desperate to keep their information with ByteDance and be scrolling endlessly, even while they supposed to be asleep. No way that people care that much about that, but they sitting here whining about they not concerned about our Department of U.S. Treasury and how they spending the money and all these people that's robbing us blind, and that our taxes are so high and we facing a $36 trillion deficit. She said, yes, Anton, they are selling the phones. I said, so you don't care? She said, I don't care nothing about that. I don't care nothing about no TikTok. Okay, if they get it, if they don't, I don't care. I'm about to go. She said, I'm about to go and get my nails done. Go and get my hair done. I said, oh, okay. She said, I'm about to go outside. I did not realize it, that people are selling phones that have TikTok installed on it for triple and quadruple the price of what the phone used to cost new. I said, impossible. Impossible. Let me go ahead and get his phone to somebody else that I know. I don't want nobody saying Anton out here selling phones on Facebook Marketplace. I have to go through a filter, a third party. But the point is that people are concerned about the wrong things. And it's not just what happens with Elon Musk. It's not just diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's not just whether or not your credit is messed up. That's how your life is lived. Usually who you are in one aspect of your life in some way, shape, or form pours over into the other aspects of your life. And so if you are dusty at home, chances are you just now getting by at the workplace. Thank God for the union that you're not fired. You've been on the chopping block. Your wife don't know that you've been called into the union office 47 times throughout the history of you working at the place that you worked at, and you was this close to losing your job. She think that you a good worker. And this is the problem that she may have with you at home. Honest to God truth. You put more effort into your job. You work so hard. No, that nigga just be sleeping. He just be sleeping. He ain't doing nothing on the job. He was this close. And then he held it together long enough for everything to reset, and he got a new lease on life. I've seen it happen 1,000 times inside of the chair. No, he not a good person. He don't work hard. He one step away from losing his job every single year. He one more late from losing his job. He don't get himself together until 30 days into the new year when he know that all of the stuff reset, because that's what the union negotiated. So you think, oh man, he's such a good man at his job, but at home, he's just a piece of trash. No, he's just a piece of trash. In the same way that he holding on to that relationship is the same way that he holding on to that job as his life. The dust. And the same thing for the woman. The same thing for the women. So concerned about the wrong thing. Yes. Listen, I see women, and this is the God's honest truth, because, you know, once you get to in a certain space in a certain city, you only one or two people removed from knowing everything that anybody got going on, if you really care to know. And I've seen women sit here and complain about not even being able to pay their bills, but they be at the bar every single weekend. I've seen women almost get thrown out on their heads, evicted, one step, couple days away from losing the roof over her and her children's heads, but she will be right back at the bar next week. We are focused on the wrong things. We are asking the wrong questions. And have you noticed that everybody on social media, and I mean everybody on social media, is saying that the dating pool is piss? Nobody is saying that they're pissing in the pool, that they peeing in the pool. Everybody is just saying that the dating pool is piss. And it's a reflection of their everyday life. Same people saying that the job market is bad. Same people that's saying that they can't pay their bills. Same people that's saying that they about to get their cars repossessed. Same people that's saying that they want to vote for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Same people that's complaining about student loans. Same people that's complaining this and that and this and that and this and that. The only thing that real Americans, the only thing that productive people are asking for is accountability from the federal government and to get out of the way so that we can be able to build wealth and do things that's great. But I see in my community, which is the United States of America, half of the country is asking the wrong questions. Half of the people are concerned about the wrong things. I've seen, they got this thing right now that's happening on social media where they say, I'm a part of the 92, 93%. Don't ask me for nothing. I'm sitting this one out. My only question is, what took you so long to sit it out? We didn't want your opinion, and we didn't want you to participate back in November or October or August or July or June or May or April or March or February or January or December or November. Now you want to sit it out. No, sit it out back in November. We sitting this one out. We just going to sip our tea. What took you so long? We wasn't asking for your leadership anyway. You didn't know I knew my months backwards? I do. Anyways, phenomenal start to the week. Again, I want to keep you guys updated on what's going on in these streets. Tonight, Q show. Tomorrow, we doing a Millionaire Morning Show right here in this studio. After that, I'll be doing it from DC. All right? I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. Let me read some of these super chats and we'll get y'all up out of there. Shout out to Night J. Night J says, exactly why I left Be More City, the delusion. The delusion. Eddie Antar says, sometimes you have to preach as a reverend at the church when the kickbacks from politicians slow down. Nothing wrong with multiple streams of revenue. Mitchell Gilmore, shout out to Mitchell, says, Anton, thank you for getting the real message out there. Out here, New Mexico is struggling. Our governor is very progressive. Low-key sound like Judge Brown. High Tolerance says, good look, AD, baby bottom faces, baby bottom faces. Body language is mad suspect, ex-CIA. Joe Navarro's book, What Everybody is Saying calls out this BS. Whiskey says, Anton, genius move, refugee rights to the land. Rashawn Irving says, Mahomes catching strays is wild work. Silver Lion goes on to say, am I confused or did Al Sharpton try to grift the civil rights of black people into the guise of the LGBTQ community with that us comment is crazy talk? No, they all the same. They all the same. Shout out to Kenneth J. Malone. I appreciate you, Mr. Senior. Styles UNB, what up though? Says, good morning, Anton. Whisper your answer so we can receive it better. Is the security guard in his favorite closet or did someone come and get him? No, I see him. It's normal. I be seeing him coming back and forth. I don't even say nothing. I just see him. Silver Lion says, irony is when someone writes, you're an idiot. Instead of YOU apostrophe R. AB says, nah, YouTube autocorrect doesn't work well on live. Yeah, okay. Anton Chill, I'm a chaser. I don't know him. Shout out to Willie Love. Mr. D to the Z says, it's the autocorrect on the mobile app is wild with a mind of its own. Oh, the autocorrect got a mind of its own. Okay. Marie says, it's crazy because some Dems want their student loans to get lost so they don't have to pay them. Biden lied about forgiveness. Now y'all mad. That's a fact though. Let me see. Nice Shell O says, y'all worried about your social security number, but sending me a Cash App request for $10. Shout out to the Chasers. Talk about it. Keep on sending me these requests. Bilderberg boy in the building says, AD, be easy on Willie. He just spent his lunch money to send you a super chat. I appreciate all super chats. Marie goes on to say, I'm amazed at women mad about food stamps being taken away, but let a man live on your couch for free. A 2-year-old gets shot in your neighborhood and y'all ain't saying shh. That's a fact. Talk to him. Dot Focus says, good morning, sir. What would you say to all of the Fed employees resigning and receiving pays until September? Got to make decisions that's best for you. Either that or you're probably going to get laid off. The man says, Congolese watching from South Africa. Love what you're doing. Shout out to the Congolese over there in South Africa. I appreciate the Congolese. Shout out to y'all. Anthony Labricio says, America first, good morning. Good morning to you, my friend. I appreciate you. And Rand Wilson, I appreciate you also. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to everybody that participated in the platform. Q show tonight. It's going to be popping. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all stay focused.